Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Homebuyer University Live. David, what's
Hey,
up, man?
how you doing?
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Long time.
It's been a minute. We got a lot to catch up on, and we are live.
Surprise! Surprise!
We are
Surprise!
in it, man. So, um, we've been off uh, some circumstances for the month of May, unfortunately, but um, we got a lot to definitely catch up on. And Ron David, my bad, kind of share with people. So um, I know you went to $1 million mastermind, and oh my goodness. So for people
Yeah,
that I want you to give the just the nuts and bolts of this, and then we'll kind of get into the show today. But some
sure.
stuff that you got from this event. So for people that don't know, there's $1 million mastermind. This is put on by Stewman, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Ryan Stewman is a guy who is out of Dallas area. I follow Ryan. I know David, cool dude, super smart, hardcore closer. Shout out to Ryan Stewman.
Shout out.
And you got to attend an event. So give the people like some. There's so much I know you can't give
Just
every
nuggets.
multiple day event, but aside from the musical artists, some stuff that maybe you can share with people, as it relates to real estate, what we're dealing with, with people still trying to get into the home
Mhm.
market purchasing game this year.
Yeah,
But I know there's a ton of people that were there. But I'm putting you on the spot right now, David.
come on with it.
We didn't
Right?
talk about this.
I love the pressure. I'm
But
up
this is
to
why I
it.
like you. This is why I like you, because you can do this, right? You can just bam.
Got it. You have to adapt, right? If you're not
Absolutely.
adapting, you're dying.
And then we're
Um,
gonna jump into some things that people can do because things have changed a little bit, right? As far as real estate,
mhm.
the interest rates and things like that. So we're jumping that, but give some people some nuggets. Again, this is $1 million mastermind that just happened last week, right?
This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
So yesterday finished it out with a surprise guest speaker. It was going to be Tom Brady, had some scheduling conflicts, but A-Rod's pretty good too, right? A-Rod was there. Logan Paul showed up. Ed
Right.
Milet, uh, Bobby Campos, Dan Fleischman, so many.
Yeah.
Eric Thomas, uh, and
ET, the hip hop preacher.
man,
Yeah.
man, there. I mean, you can watch the videos, right?
Right.
And you can get some value, but being surrounded by people, feeding that energy,
Yeah.
uh, not a dry eye in the crowd.
Yeah.
Everybody's super pumped. The one thing that I would say, obviously, they were talking about personal development. They were
Right.
talking about being successful. Um, but no matter who the speaker was, the trend that I got from it was more accountability.
Right.
We're all we're born not religious or whatever, but
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
born in the image of some great creator, right?
Yep.
And you were designed by the greatest to be the greatest,
Yep.
and FYE, right?
Yeah.
Forget
Yep.
your excuses, but it's not forget. Um, you know,
I know the saying.
yeah, and so there's for me, I took away a lot of accountability. I mean, I feel
Yep.
like I'm accountable, but there's so many different ways to be accountable for your own success or failures. There's nobody else that is holding you back from any of it. And so,
Absolutely.
what are we doing if we're not waking up with the mentality to go out there and do it?
Yeah.
All it takes is work, you know.
And this is a great segue because your expertise is obviously on the credit side, right? And you and I talk about the fact that some people just bury their head in the sand when it comes
Sure.
to credit. And it's like, all right, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. And they keep shoving it, kicking it down the road, right?
Hmm.
And we both see what happens when someone is not paying attention to their credit and
Hmm.
then they want to buy a home because this is usually the time when everything comes to fruition and all the stuff they forgot about or just I'm not going to worry about it it comes up typically when you want to purchase a home because David, most people can got bad credit or no credit or whatever. You could probably go purchase pretty much anything
Yeah.
aside from a house, right? That's the one time where you run into credit challenges if you have no credit. And again, let me say this because when I say that, there are ways to kind of get around it, but this is the problem with like anything. You've got not so great credit, you're going to pay more for everything, everything. So the accountability part that you got from all these guys, and Ed Milet was there too, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So these are
Eight
all
hundred million
people.
dollar man. I mean, why would you not listen to him?
Absolutely. Yeah. And Ed Milet is one of those guys that we kind of chatted about this. One of those guys that I've been following for years. So I'm a huge Ed Milet. I talk about him in my cycle classes to my classes. That's how much of an influence he's had on me. So again, this is a little bit of a segue, but Ed Milet, yeah, you guys go check him. He's got a new book out too called One More.
Oh,
Great book. I haven't got through all of it yet, but a great book about, again, it comes back to the accountability and just being able to do a little bit more than you think you can. And again, we're going to transition all of this into the real estate and credit business, which is what we do. But that event, man, I'm so mad that I did not get to go, honestly.
Here's the good thing. There's another one next year.
Okay.
They're not going anywhere. They're not going.
In the meantime, yeah. I'll just have to pick your brain in the meantime.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll throw the plug out there, right? It's not like we get paid for any of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you still want to see the event, they do have it available on live stream.
Like a recording?
Yeah, a recording. Yeah. They live streamed it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so much massive value.
Yep.
It's the first event like that I've ever really been to. And
you picked a good one.
Yeah, it is definitely a game changer. So much value.
Yeah.
But yeah, to kind of follow that and get into the real estate. So one thing that I have been telling people when I talk to them, right, going through my conversations with people, credit is very personal. It's very emotional sometimes for people, and it's also very intimidating because this isn't something that people can learn just by reading about.
Right.
It's hard to know who to trust with the information. Yep. And one thing that I tell people is, look, if you really, really want it, if you want to become a homeowner, going through this process is not going to be fun and it's not going to be easy. But if you're serious about it, I would dedicate my time and invest it in you during this program, and I will show you how it's done. We're all busy in life, right? One thing we can't waste time with is time wasters. And so, if you're dedicated to it and you really want it, come on with it. But that's the accountability, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, life happens to people.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to lose their job. Nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to, have a drastic, nobody really wants to get divorced in the big scheme of things.
Yeah.
These things happen and we have to, the accountability sucks, but we've got to be accountable for it. And we've got to move past it. With the right game plan, you can.
And for people that may not be aware, David, kind of give them a little bit about what it is that you do, because some people may not have. It's been a few weeks since we've been on, so I want people to understand what it is that you do. I send my clients to you. If you're looking to, and again, this is not just about real estate. That is what we specialize in, obviously myself and David, but what David does applies to every single aspect of your life. I don't care what you're looking to do. He is a great resource. So tell people a little bit about what it is that you guys do, a little bit about the Phoenix Group for people that may not know what you guys do.
So the Phoenix Group, right here, right, one of the cleanest logos in the industry. We are credit experts. So that term right there is very meaningful to me. I've been in this industry for 11 years. In March, made 11 years. And over the years, one thing that I've noticed is if I were to go to another credit repair company and get hired and not disclose any of my education or
Hmm.
any of my experience, and they thought I was new, if I got hired, I would be hired in a sales position, and the immediate title that I would get is credit specialist.
Okay.
The the I, I want to differentiate myself from that, because I'm not in. I mean, I am not a salesman here trying to push a product. I'm a
Right.
credit expert offering guidance and service to people that are looking to build some buying power, wanting to buy homes, cars, uh, establish business credit, just need guidance getting not their financials. I'm not a
Right.
financial advisor, but getting their money life in order,
Yep.
because it does impact everything.
Absolutely.
So majority of my business, as you said, comes from real estate agents and loan officers. I work with people across the country, and my job is to figure out who I can help. That's where my first conversation comes in. I offer a free analysis, free consultation to anybody that wants one. We're going to talk, we're going to understand each other, and what each other's goal is before we decide to move forward and sign paperwork and get you committed to something. We're gonna do a detailed analysis and figure out if this is what you really need. And if it
Right.
does, well, show me you're serious.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it's done.
Yeah.
So
And so this is obviously for me being on the, the mortgage side of the business. Obviously, you are a very, very pivotal part of what I do because everybody's not ready at this point. And I don't ever tell people you can't qualify. It's you can't qualify right now, right? If that's the situation. And so
sure.
I will send clients to you, and I know you're very big on this too. And you mentioned it at the start of this, is like if you really want to own a home, and right now obviously interest rates are all over the place. We had a little bit of break for a few weeks. Now they're going back up. I don't like to be doom and gloom, but I mean, reality is, listen, don't worry about the interest rate right now. I mean, don't. Now the beauty of what you do, David, helping people get their credit in a better position, it will help them with the mortgage. It's going to help you qualify for maybe more. It may help you qualify for better insurance. So what you do is so pivotal in so many ways for my business. So touch on a couple of things, a few things as far as like what else you can help people with. Now, obviously, credit, getting the scores up. We understand
Yeah.
that's big
Yeah,
for most
and I
people.
mean, it just goes to what is the sphere, right? What is
Right.
the sphere that it impacts? Uh,
Yep.
and I know we talked about it, and I'm gonna toot the horn a little bit. At before the school year was over, at the beginning of this year, I was like, man, something on my heart is to get in front of kids, right? Start
Yes.
talking to them about how to prepare themselves for this wild world that they're going to get in, and
Yep.
it's not just credit, but it's about being prepared. Um,
Yes.
to get an apartment now, jobs, they're
Yeah.
looking at credit. If people, last high school I was at just happened to be my kids, and I was asking them, hey, who's planning on going to the military? Okay, well, if your credit's not A1, they're going to be looking at that. You got to have good credit for security clearance to be
Yeah.
able to get those promotions.
Absolutely.
There's
Yeah.
not an officer out there walking around with a 550 credit score,
Yep.
$100,000 worth of bad debt. That doesn't
All
happen.
true.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Now it's crazy because I know when I joined the military, they didn't matter what the hell your credit was.
come on, come on.
Like
We, we,
what? You got a
we,
500, 450? Don't worry about it. Come on in
we
here,
we
son.
got a backpack and some boots for you. Don't worry. Yeah.
But to your point, like things are changing. And a lot of companies, I want to circle back around to the thing that
Sure.
you're doing with the schools because this is super important. But there are companies, especially if you're trying to get into the financial side, right, of any financial type of company, they don't want you struggling as handling your own personal credit. And it doesn't mean you can't have, like you hadn't had an issue. Like I've had issues before. It's not end all be all. You got to have perfect credit or you're not going to get hired. That's not the point. But there are certain industries and certain companies that don't want you struggling essentially, and they're going to base your struggling on by looking at your credit situation, right?
Yeah.
'Cause they don't want you to get in, come working for them, and either you're in a bad, put yourself in a bad situation, and they're just not comfortable with you. If you, especially maybe if you're dealing with money, they're gonna look at that stuff.
I mean, people get desperate, you know.
Right, right,
People get desperate, and I mean, the other side of that is, if I know you work at this bank, and I know that, or you're connected to somebody that makes decisions about maybe
right.
contracts for my business,
Yeah, yeah,
and one day I just happen to see you at the bar. Hey, I heard you're having some financial troubles. I tell you what, I'll help you out in that arena. You can just give me a little bit of information. Just
yep,
tell me X, Y, and Z,
yep.
and I'll help you with all that debt. You can be manipulated,
No doubt.
and yeah, it's risk, right? Why
Yep.
would I want to take? That's what your credit report is. I mean, even with insurance, right? Auto insurance, home insurance, um, sometimes life insurance.
Yeah.
If you're risky with your money, you're probably risky in other areas of your life.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, insurance companies don't necessarily look at a standard credit report like we think. They look at a LexisNexis report, which, I pulled my own. I don't have any judgments or nothing like that, but they look at that to determine, what is your risk? Have you ever been sued? Have you been in car wrecks? How many addresses are you running through? I pulled my own, and I've got addresses and phone numbers on my LexisNexis report from when I was a child, from when I was
Wow.
a kid. I was like, man, I haven't lived in Lancaster in, 30 years.
Right.
I
Yeah.
couldn't have even
So
been on the map at that point. Why is it? But
explain, David, to for people that may not understand Lexus now. So you got credit bureaus, guys. So you got, TransUnion, Equifax,
mhm,
Experian. Those are the three credit bureaus.
yeah,
So they're going to report. Essentially, they're reporting what the creditors are sending to them. By the way,
yeah.
right? So people think,
This is sorry to jump in there,
yeah,
but this is something that happened last week, right? A good friend of mine, he sent me this text, and it was a screenshot of somebody on Facebook making a statement about credit. He does this to me all the time, gets under my skin. But it was basically this TikTok where this guy was saying, "Hey, you can go to these different entities and freeze your information. Go to LexisNexis and go to this rental place that reports your apartment history and freeze your files there. That will keep them from being able to communicate with the other bureaus so that they don't put stuff on there." And it just blew my mind. That's not how it works.
mm,
So
right,
LexisNexis, I mean, there's many, 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 many different bureaus. The
yep,
three that we know about are
yep,
Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. They
yep,
report consumer credit. LexisNexis is an entity that reports public records, tax liens,
okay,
judgments,
yep,
bankruptcies. If you've ever been sued, or you moved states and you left Arizona but you didn't pay your state tax, you're going to show a lien on there.
yep,
And they do. Don't get me wrong; they do communicate with each other.
yeah,
So, it's just a different bureau. It's like Cavers as well. Cavers is another entity that is basically a database for people that owe the government. So
right,
if you defaulted on your student loans,
yep,
or maybe again you were in the military and you got a bonus, something happened, you had to get out, they want that bonus back.
yep,
Social Security overpayments, different things like that, where you owe the federal government. It's going to show up in this Cavers report.
right,
And depending on what we see on a standard credit report, or what your goal is, we're going to have to know, okay, well, what else do we need to be aware of? What else
yep.
do we need to go and get resolution on? And yeah,
Yeah, and so I mean, again, one of the things I want to piggyback on is the accuracy of this stuff, because if you're not being proactive and looking at these type of reports, it's going to probably catch you in at some point. It's going to catch up. Now, if you just want to sit around and bury your head in the sand, as a lot of people do, they do. I see it, you see it, and again, usually when somebody wants to purchase a big purchase, excuse me, typically a home, is when all this stuff seems to come up. I just encourage everybody, like, go, you can get your credit report for free, first of all, right? It doesn't cost you to get your own report. Go get it,
Hmm.
look at it, and if you need help, if you're not sure, call David. Number one, reach out to David. He's a great resource to be able to reach out to, and he can give you guys some direction on this, because it's just that important, for all of us to be proactive in figuring out, okay, what's on there, what's right. Because I've got stuff. My dad and I have the same name, but we have this different middle name,
Hmm.
right? So I'm James J. Actually, my middle name's Jerome, and he's James G.
Hmm.
You know how many times I've got stuff on my dad's credit and vice versa?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it happens all the time. I'm not even a junior.
And I mean, my name, David Rodriguez.
Right. How many David
I
Rodriguez?
live
Right.
in Texas.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a small army of David Rodriguez's out there.
Yep.
You know, we'll mob deep if needed.
Absolutely.
Uh, but
Yeah.
to kind of go to the accuracy, you know, an example that I give everybody to kind of explain the way this process works, right? Credit reporting. Um, the example I give is let's say that I'm a lender and I loan you $1,000, and for whatever reason you defaulted.
Yep.
If I wanted to report that to your credit, what I would need to do is basically fill out a form, give the details about you, details about the account, and I would submit this information to any entity that I want it reported, usually the three bureaus,
Right.
Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Now, I have to pay to have that reported. It's a pay for play scenario. They don't
Got
just,
it.
the credit bureaus are not government entities. They're not here
No,
to help you. They're here to make money.
they are for profit.
Yeah, they are for-profit
Absolutely.
companies and
Yep.
they make billions of dollars a year.
Yep.
So, you know, let's say that that happened. I fill out this form, and I pay the bureaus to report it. Now, let's say that when I'm filling out this document, I get down to the dollar amount, and instead of putting $1,000 on there, I accidentally hit an extra zero. I got little sausage fingers here. I type fast. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it happens. The issue is that when I go to submit this documentation with this wrong dollar amount on it, there is no checks or balances there to make sure that what I'm giving them is actually true. And the
Yep.
credit bureaus, it's not their job to validate your debt. They're
Yep.
simply here to report.
That's it.
So they're just going to take the paycheck and put it on your credit, right? So you
Yep.
can see how errors show up. People make mistakes.
Yes.
Now, most people want to go about disputing it. Oh, that's absolutely wrong. It's 10,000. I never borrowed $10,000 from you, David. The hell's going on, right? And then I should be able to dispute this. There's no way that they're going to be able to prove that. So you submit that dispute. What's going to happen then is the bureau is going to contact me. The bureau
Yep.
is going to reach out to your creditor and they're going to say, David, listen, you know, James asking about this account. He says something's wrong with it. We need you to investigate it, verify it. And there's a big difference between verified and validated.
Right.
You know, I can verify all day long. And so the process is when the credit bureau reaches out to your creditor, the creditor is going to basically look at that document that I submitted. Okay, let me look into it. Let me look at what I submitted to you. Let me see what you've reported. Hey, you know what do I have in my records? Everything says $10,000 here. So, Mr. Credit Bureau, yeah, I can verify that you have
Right.
accurately reported exactly what I gave you to report. The
Got it.
problem with doing that dispute is there is no real investigation being done into the accuracy of the account. They're just comparing notes.
Yep.
We come back to the consumer and say, hey, listen, James, you know what? We did a very thorough investigation. Sure
Yep.
you did. And after that investigation, your creditor, David, he says that everything's accurate, so we're not going to be able to change it. Now, James, if you got some documentation showing this is wrong,
Yep.
by all means, send it to us. We'd love to help you with it.
Yep.
And how are you supposed to have documentation on some made up account?
No. Yeah, and this is all the more reason why people need to reach out to somebody that's an expert in this, because you can try and go at this alone, right? You can. Um, you can. Is it the best thing to do? Probably not. And I would say this, and you're good about this, David. You obviously you're for profit, and I am too. But the reality is, like you will, if you can give somebody just some information, just to say, hey, this is really all you need to do. Like, you don't necessarily need my services. This is why I love what you do, because you would just tell people, listen, this is all you need to do. But for a lot of people, it's not that simple, right?
Mhm.
They need more hand holding, so to speak, when it comes to getting things either disputed or removed or whatever the case may be, which is where you come in. But I want to talk about something real quick, because you mentioned the dispute thing. I want you to talk about this a little bit more, because for me as a mortgage loan officer, if you have disputes, and I know people are being told, hey, dispute this and your score is going to go up, which
Sure,
is true,
sure.
right?
Yeah, it
It's
will.
true. It's absolutely 100% true. So if you have an account on your credit report and you dispute it, the bureaus are essentially going to take that account that you're disputing. They're going to basically take it out of your calculation as far as the score goes while it's in dispute, right?
Correct.
So you feel all great about, oh, my score went up, right? And you're just gonna, and I see this all the time. People are just disputing everything because they were told, hey, just dispute it, your score is gonna go up. Again, which is fact, guys. Your
Mhm.
score will go up. The problem is this: when you want to own a home, we can't have your disputes on your credit report because it's a false score. We don't really know what your score is.
Mhm.
So what we have people do is remove the disputes while you're going through the mortgage process so we can get a real understanding of what your credit score is, because we, like I just said, when you're disputing an account, it's not a real credit score because they don't, the bureaus, I will give them some credit for this, David. As much as I talk about credit bureaus and some of the things I don't like, they understand if they're disputing something, they're not going to penalize you until until the
Right.
decision is basically made on it, right? So I want you to talk about that a little bit more. But like I said, for
Mhm.
me as a loan officer, if you have disputes on your account, guys, just know they have to be removed. Now, when you close, if you can get them removed, we close on the loan for you, and you want to go dispute them after, you go right ahead. But you cannot have them disputed while we're going through the mortgage process because we don't really know what your credit score is.
Yeah, and I think you and I touched on this in a previous
Yeah.
conversation, 2008, right? I could
Yes.
walk into a loan officer, or 2007, right? Let's call it that.
Yep.
Before the crash,
Yep.
if I wanted to, I could walk into a loan officer and tell them, "Hey, I make $300,000 a year, and I have super low debt, and my credit score is XYZ."
Yep.
And if they pulled your credit, I could, well, before that, I could go and have collections and whatnot, go and put all that stuff in dispute. And
Yep.
then once I see it in dispute, my score skyrockets. And then I could go to the lender. They pull credit and they see that score. Oh yeah, he's good to go. It says he makes three
Yeah.
hundred thousand dollars. He can buy any house he wants. You
Yep.
know, they didn't care about disputes back then.
Yep.
But obviously, the as you mentioned, when you put something in dispute, I can't say you're guilty of it
That's
because I got
right.
to investigate. So it's
Yep.
pulled out of the algorithm. It's
Yep.
pulled out of the scoring algorithm. And I mean, if you take bad stuff off, score goes up. But
Right.
once you remove that dispute, okay, now it's calculated again. Your
Yep.
score tanks.
Absolutely.
So you know you got to be real careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much, so many good people out there with good intentions that just don't know. They just don't know how this
Yeah.
stuff works. And so
Yeah. That.
the advice that you get from
Yeah.
people.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's so many. It's so much information, and unfortunately, a lot of it's not right. In your industry, on the credit side, or and mine. And for credit, unfortunately, a lot of credit companies or credit restoration, repair, whatever you want to refer to it as, they've
I
gotten.
refer to them as the other guys.
Right. Me too. All these
Yeah,
other mortgage lenders, they're the other guys.
yeah,
And then there's me.
yeah.
But the reputation of credit restoration, and it's had a, for some people, they've had a bad experience with this. So I want you to talk about this too, because
Mhm.
there's some, I'm not even going to name some of these companies. There's a lot of them out there, but there's some bigger names that kind of been around, and it's very, very mixed results as far as what people get. Some people complain, and there's no one size fits all for anybody.
Mhm.
What I don't like is that these companies will promise. I've even heard commercials about, oh, we're going to get your credit up 50, 70, 80, whatever. Like, you should not be falling for this guy, because there's just no way just to say we're going to get your score to X, Y, and Z. Um, and I want you to talk a little bit about your process with this,
Sure.
and the little differences between what kind of what you're doing. Like I said, you're very straightforward. So for you guys, if you need any type of credit, you need to reach out to Dave, because he's gonna just tell you the truth. Like, he's not gonna BS you. He's just not
Whether,
that dude. So
whether
uh,
you like it or not.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
My job is to present your position. This is where you are. These are the possibilities that can come with this detailed game plan. Does it make sense to you?
Yep.
Right. Um, so the I guess the to kind of answer the question as far as our process and what
Yeah.
we do, right? Um, it's an analysis, detailed analysis.
Yep.
The biggest and yes, you're absolutely right. The reputation for credit repair, um, I put it on myself to change that.
Right.
So I want to talk to everybody in the country,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And show them something different. And the problem is, as I mentioned earlier, that unfortunately these companies hire a bunch of salesmen to push a product.
Yep.
A bunch of salesmen trying to push a product they don't know anything about. There's a guy local to you, like I said, not going to say names, just
Yep.
got sued. Shut down his company,
Yep.
um, being investigated because doing stuff that's illegal. Number one, uh, if it is illegal for any credit repair company to guarantee you a score.
Yes.
If somebody says, I can get you a 700 credit score, they're breaking the law.
Yep.
If somebody says that account right there, I can get it deleted, they're breaking the law.
Yep.
If I told anybody, hey, I guarantee you a score or I guarantee you a specific result, I'm going to get a hell of a fine. I'm going to lose my job. Been
Yeah.
doing this 11 years. I'm not going anywhere. Right. So don't believe the hype. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You know
No,
what?
right.
A lot of people tell me that they're super intimidated. They're scared a little bit after we have our conversations.
Yeah.
And good. You back a dog into a corner, he's going to bite. Right. I need
That's
people to
right.
bite. When we're talking about this, getting out of the old habits and getting a new understanding and developing new habits, I need it to be emotional.
Yeah. That's
The good
true.
news is I will guide you through it. I will be there. I will hold your hand. I will nurture you through this process because it is scary. It's intimidating.
Yeah.
But how bad do you want it? You know, let's go through it
Yep.
because when we're talking about building somebody's buying power, right? You already said this. It affects everything,
No doubt.
interest rates and insurance and all this. But put it in a big picture. We're talking tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars over a relatively short amount of
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, do you want to be a millionaire? Okay, how are you going to do that? Well, I need to be saving money in every aspect I can. I need to be working super hard.
Yep.
I got to be doing the work. Um, so many different things. I kind of digress there, but the
All right.
other thing I'll say about the process, the difference between us and anybody else. Number one, I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I'm an expert. I
Yep.
know credit inside and out. And the second thing is I will never lie. I don't care if you don't agree, and I
Yeah.
don't care if it comes at you. I'm super nice. I'm very
Yes.
professional. I know how to speak to people, but I am not going to sugarcoat.
Yeah.
I need my client to understand exactly what the worst case scenario is. I just got off the phone with somebody right before we got on. We're having this first conversation. She told me a little bit about what's on her credit, this and that. And I said, hey, are you prepared to make settlements? Well, I didn't know if that was the right thing. Okay, that's cool. It may or may not be, but I
Yep.
need you to know that Capital One isn't going to let this $25,000 debt that you have just go away.
That's right. That's
Still in
right.
the statute of limitations. They can sue you,
Yep.
and they probably will. So we need to prepare. Oh wow, I didn't think
Yep.
about that. I didn't know that they sue you for credit card debt. Cons, they will sue you.
Yeah.
Anybody can sue you for anything. And so, we've got to have that tough conversation. And I could bore everybody to death with the process. I'll tell you this: it's different. The way it's different, we're not doing this generic dispute. I'm not going to sit here and tell you. So here's the red flag for you. If you talk to somebody in credit repair and just ask them, well, what are you going to do for me? What's the process? And if they tell you something like this, run for the hills. Most people in credit repair will tell you, we're going to dispute this information.
Yeah.
And if they don't respond in 30 days, they're going to have to delete it.
They're gonna. Yeah. Say that again, David. I want you to say that again because I get this from people all the time. They hear this all the time. So say that again.
We're going to dispute this information with the bureaus. Yep. And if the bureaus don't respond in 30 days, they have to delete it.
Yes.
What are you going to do if they do respond?
Right. Right.
That's my rebuttal.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're banking on this company not responding to a
Yeah.
request,
That's your only
and,
strategy.
and that's how you're having success, what are you going
Right.
to do if they do?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to dispute it again. So, you know what? Take all the money you got, go to Vegas, put it all on black.
You're hoping. Like
Yeah,
hope is not a strategy. You're
no,
hoping they don't respond. Is basically what these companies are
right.
doing. They're
And don't
hoping.
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is the rules and guidelines, right?
Yeah.
So that phrase right there is one sentence out of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is over a 100-page document,
Right. Right.
right? So they latch onto this because it sounds good. It's an easy way to close somebody. Um, and it is true.
Yeah.
If a creditor does not respond within a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
it's typically 30 to 45 days. If they do not respond, the bureaus have an obligation to remove that account.
Right.
But that does nothing for the ownership of the account.
Yep.
The creditor, the collection agency, whoever it's with, they still own it. What if they go and, okay, we deleted it from the bureaus because we didn't get a response, but now the creditor has gone and done a massive update with
Yep.
all of their accounts, and now it showed back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same problem with disputing that way. If you get a deletion that way, that doesn't do anything with the ownership. It's still
No.
there. The company can still go and report it, or they're just going to sell it to somebody else who's going to show up with a new company.
And they just
So,
keep going. Yeah.
And so with us, we go back to the original creditors, finance companies, collection agencies. We audit the attorney general for child support. We go to LexisNexis for public records. We're going to the owner of that account to get that documentation. At the end of the day, you got to be able to show that it's mine. You got to be able to show that everything that you've reported is absolutely correct. Because if they can't show that, then they don't have a real right to report it. And let's say that it went to court for some reason. Well, Your Honor, I asked them to validate the debt. They couldn't show me any documentation that tied this to me. What is that judge going to say? Well, how are you going to make him pay? You can't even prove it's his.
Yeah.
So, and that's the biggest issue with credit repair over the years. They've gotten away from diving deep into law, understanding the true rights of a consumer. It's about validation, but there are other rules, other laws, other regulations in place that dictate how these companies are reporting information to the bureaus, how they're going about collecting money from a consumer, and very, very importantly, how are they communicating with the consumer during this back and forth investigation phase? So as we go through our audit process, if I can show that they violated some of these other laws and how they're trying to collect or report or communicate, then I really don't care if they validated the debt. They may have bigger issues. Some of these penalties are in the 5, 6, and 7 figures. Okay, you just violated this consumer law over here, carries with it a $600,000 penalty. Do you want to go that route, or do you want to delete this 5-year-old medical collection for $300?
Right.
Kind of an easy decision. Now, that's a very dumbed down, condensed way to think about it, but it's absolutely true. If I can show that they're violating other laws, then do you want to walk that line?
Yep. That's right. Yeah. And so you lot to unpack there. I mean, you mentioned a lot of a lot of this is just it's misinformation, number one, that's being put out by, in some cases, it's actually companies that do the credit restoration.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you want to make sure you've got somebody, if you're using any type of a company, has somebody that's got a background, the references. Like David's got a ton of people that he's worked with that will give you a reference, right? If you've got questions about his work ethic. So I see it, I know it, but I want to go back to the actually, I wanted to actually talk a little bit about this secure credit, because this is one of those things that people use. And again, this goes back to some misinformation. Secured credit cards, for example, people use these to build up credit if they don't have any in a lot of cases, or even if they do, it's something that might be able to help them just improve their scores. So I want you to talk about this secure credit. I want to say, when it comes to secure credit cards, because I see this often, guys, it's treated just like a regular credit card on the bureau, right? So what I mean by that, if you get a secured credit card for, you're trying to build up credit, you don't have any, or you're trying to do something to better your credit, right? A secured credit card, you go give a company $1,000 as an example, right? Yes, it's your money, but this is the problem that people think because it's their money, they think it's not a big deal to go run up. You gave them 1,000, now you're going to go run up 950. It's reported the same
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
It
So
doesn't matter. So I
yeah.
want you to talk about this because I see this and people think because it's a secure credit card. Well, the whole point of this is to build up your credit, right? If you run up your secured credit card to the max or close to it, well, guess what? You're just shooting yourself in the foot. It's
Yeah.
reported the same way.
So the security deposit on a secured account is a penalty for having bad credit.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yes. Yes.
credit lines, right, are OPM, other
Yep.
people's money.
Yep.
And if you want to use somebody else's money and you're going to have to secure it, you're you're not using that $1,000 that you gave them. You gave
Right.
them $1,000 to give you $1,000 line of credit through them. You're
Right.
still using their money. They're
Absolutely.
taking that money that you gave them, they're putting it in investments, they're making money off of it.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's what it's
Just like
doing.
the
Like
bank does.
everybody
Yeah.
knows how the banks work, right?
Absolutely.
So and just because you gave them that money doesn't mean that you can walk away and say, oh, that security deposit wipes out that debt. That's
Right.
not how it works.
Yes.
So I personally, at the Phoenix Group, we try to avoid secured credit cards,
Right.
simply because uh, if you were responsible, financially secure, trustworthy, had good credit, low risk,
Right.
why did you have to pay for it? Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, that being said, there's nothing wrong with having one.
Right.
There is a problem when you've got two or three or four.
Right. Yeah.
Um, you don't, people say you need more credit. You need to, I got a thin credit file. Okay, let me go and secure a bunch of credit cards.
Yep.
Well, listen, what would you rather have? Would you rather have 3,000 $3,000 of available credit on 10 cards with the $300 limit, or would you rather have one credit card with the $3,000 limit?
Right. Yeah.
Simple answer, right? The problem with securing credit cards is that I know they're secured when I look at a credit report.
Right.
Underwriters, finance companies know that they're
Yep.
secured. They know that
Yep.
you had to pay for it. Why, if you were low risk, why aren't you doing business with the big boys?
Yeah.
Amex doesn't do a secured credit card, right? I
And
mean,
I think part of it, David, I think
it-
part of it just people don't know. Like I do. I just think
yeah.
people don't understand. This is why I brought it up. I wanted you to talk about this because I think some people just don't understand like secured credit card, what that means
Mhm.
to people. And they may think maybe younger, some of the younger population may not understand. Like a secured credit card it's almost like it's not a bad look, but I mean in a way it is because why are you having
Yeah,
to do a secured
be
credit card?
upset with it. Be upset with
Yeah.
it. If you had to get a secure credit card, you should be pissed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get one, move on.
Yep.
That is a stepping stone. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, somebody
Absolutely.
with absolutely no credit, it can be very difficult
Yes.
to get
Yes.
a credit card.
No
So
question.
here's what I would suggest. There are two credit cards that I will use. One is a Capital One. So Capital One offers a secure credit card.
Yep.
It's usually a $300 limit in most cases, and the security deposit for that is either $49.99 or $199
Right.
or 200, whatever.
Yep.
But for that, they will give you a $300 line of credit, and from that point on, utilization matters, payment history matters. You can earn your right to get that money back and a credit limit increase if you show them that you know how to use their money properly
Right.
for an extended, usually, I mean, I've seen people get their security deposit in 6, 9 months, a year.
Yep.
Sometimes, oops, you missed a payment. We're not going to get, if you miss one payment, you're not getting that security deposit back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They'll keep the line open and you can gradually build it and make it something better and unsecure it.
Right.
But yeah, no, take care of it. The other
Yep.
one is if you're just having trouble getting a credit card and you have decent credit in other areas, just no revolving, Discover is a really good option.
Okay.
They're selective, obviously.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, if you're with a credit union, if you bank with a credit union or even your other bank, go to them and tell them, look, I want to establish credit. I want to get a revolving line of credit, not an
Right.
installment. You walk into a bank and say, hey, I'm trying to build credit. You know what they're going to do? Oh, got just the thing. Tell you what, give me $500. I'm going to open you up this secured installment loan. Going to
Right.
last 6 months. Going to start building up some payment. That is not the way to do it.
No.
Personal loans,
Yeah.
installment loans are not the way to do it.
Nope. I tell people that all the time because I see it. And this is the thing about installment loans. And you miss a payment, it's going to screw you up real quick,
Yes.
right? But building up credit, you don't do that with installment loans, right? That's not the way to do it. Now, long term, yeah, it's going to have some positive impact. But if you're trying to really move the needle, you have to have some revolving debt. And again, David, I'll talk about this, and I'm going to let you get back to your point here, David. But
Mhm.
we talk about the fact that look, it's a game of sorts when it comes to credit. Um, whether you like the game or not, it is what it is, or you like the rules, it is what it is. So, I just choose to play the game the best way I can. But yes, revolving debt, that is something you can use, pay up. That's revolving credit card, line of credit, that type of stuff is what David's talking about.
Mhm.
But that is how you really move the needle. And it could go either way, right? You max it out where your score is going to drop, right? It's going to drop. If you max it out and leave it there, your score is going to drop. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
Yeah,
you go.
no, perfect points, perfect points. It inspired more thought. And so the reason you want to go with revolving, here's the way you need to look at it. If I got a credit card today and I took care of it, I can have that thing open for the rest of my life.
Right.
I've seen credit reports from some people, and they got that J.C. Penney card that was opened up in 1992. That
Right.
is a gangster.
Yeah.
Love it. You've had it 30 years. You've never missed a payment.
Yep.
Crazy to think 1992 was 30 years ago, right? Um,
Yeah. Oh, God.
Anywho, but yeah,
Thanks for depressing me, David. I
no
appreciate
kidding, right? Um, so, but yeah, and the thing about the accounts is payment history is more impactful when the account is more well established.
Right.
So the older your credit is, the
Yep.
more powerful that payment history kicks in. It's 35%, biggest factor of what builds your credit. But
Yep.
if you open up a $20,000 credit card today and you make that first payment, you're not getting much of a benefit. But if you got a little old JC Penney card that
Yep.
you've had for 10 years, even though it's only got a $400 or $500 limit,
Yep.
that is a gangster. That utilization on that small credit card is going to be way more meaningful
Yep.
than that brand new $20,000 limit. The
No
problem
question.
people have is they associate debt with credit. And
Right.
don't get me wrong, they work together, but it is not the dollar amounts. It is not the dollar amounts. You don't have to have
Exactly.
huge lines of credit
Yep.
to have good credit scores.
Yep.
You
Facts.
It can help with utilization,
Yeah.
but it'll
Right.
allow you to go and make big purchases and not see a drastic drop in your score. But it's not about the dollars. It's all percentages.
Yep.
Percentages. I mean, if I've got $1, I can have 1% of $1, right? I can also have 1% of $100,000.
Yep.
Percentage is all it is.
It's the same.
Now,
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought this up. So, and I tell people this all the time, and because I see it, somebody will have a really small credit card, right? Like it doesn't, and this is the thing. The bureau doesn't look at, like David said, it doesn't look at the amount, right? If you got a $200 credit card and you went and spent, nowadays you went and filled your tank up with gas, right? It's more more relevant for people. You go fill your tank up with gas and it's $100. Now you're at 50% utilization, just like that, right? The bureaus are looking at that and they're like, oh, he's 50%. If you have a $30,000 credit card and you go use 15 grand, you're at 50%. That's what they was talking about. It doesn't look at it any different because it's 30,000 versus $200, right? And so I see this all the time when people have these small credit cards, and I can look at it and know immediately you just need to pay this down. I know it's a small line of credit or small credit card, $300, $250. It doesn't take long for you to max that out, right? That's 2 fill-ups at the gas station right now, and you're at $300. I mean, it's crazy. So
And
I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, and uh, when it comes to using those accounts, credit cards, um, due dates are for suckers. Due dates are for suckers. If
Mm.
you're waiting
Yes,
till
this
your
is
due
good.
date, you're a
Write this
sucker.
down. This is a good
You know,
one.
pay it. Pay it all the time. Pay it
Right.
constantly. If you go and use it, pay it.
Yep.
If you want to carry over a balance, sometimes it's strategic and sometimes
Right.
it can be beneficial to
Right.
carry a balance. But you don't need to carry, so 30%, right? What we've all heard.
Yep.
You know who came up with that? Credit card company.
Right. Yeah, they want you to keep some
Yeah.
credit.
Oh yeah, 30%,
Absolutely.
just no more than 30%. That's
Yeah.
the safe zone.
This
Credit
is
card
so good.
companies,
I'm
credit
so
card
glad you're
companies,
talking about this.
yeah, their bread and butter isn't the interest. I mean, it's a little icing on the cake, right?
Right.
Their bread and butter, the way that credit card companies really make money is the swipe, right? They get
Mm,
every time you swipe it,
right.
that merchant has to pay them. So
Yeah.
that's why you get incentives. That's why you get cash
Mm,
back and points and flyer miles and all these rewards. They want you to go crazy. They want you to swipe that thing like crazy. I got some credit cards. I got some rewards. And you know what? I also know how this game is played.
right.
So
Right.
I swipe like crazy. But every single Friday when I get my little direct deposit, I'm paying them all off. You
Yeah,
know,
I want to make sure people didn't miss this day because we got a few more minutes. I want to make sure because this is so good what you just said. Credit card companies, guys, are not really making the money necessarily from now. They do make money, obviously, from
Mhm,
interest or late fees, right?
mhm.
Or over the limit fees, but they really are making the money from the merchant swiping the card.
Yes.
So that is so huge for people to understand. Like, yes, you get interest, obviously, you 20, 26, 26, whatever your percentage is, which again, if you have better credit, maybe that percentage is not so high. But they're making the money from the merchants. Every time the card gets swiped, Visa gets paid, Amex, whoever it is, they're getting paid from all these millions at this point. Big business, small business. I mean, at this point, it's funny now because you go places they won't even take cash, and a lot of times right
Mhm.
now, for them it's probably just easier to keep
Yep.
track of swipes versus cash because things can happen with cash. But a lot of places won't even take cash right now. But and the credit card companies are like, awesome, no cash.
Loving it. But if you think about it, there's certain credit cards that are not accepted everywhere,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
merchant doesn't take Discover. Why? Their processing fee is expensive,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
We don't want none of that. We don't want those swipes,
Yeah.
because people who got that Discover card, they probably got, 15, 20, $30,000 limits. We
Right.
don't need none of that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, and I think that people should really understand that it is okay to use a credit card,
Yes.
and you do not need to be scared of them. What you need to be is aware. You need to
Yes.
be aware of them, and it's okay to make multiple payments. You're not going to get multiple payments showing up on your credit report, but
Right.
it keeps
Right.
you. Here's the thing: if you've got $1,000 limit credit card and you just decided, you know what, I'm going to use it for everything.
Yep.
Everything that groceries, gasoline, Netflix, all my bills. I'm going to
Yep.
pay everything with this credit card. Obviously, most people spend more than $1,000 in a month,
Right.
right? But if I'm using $500 today and then I transfer that money out of my bank, instead of using my debit card, I use this credit card, transfer the money, pay it off, boom,
Yep.
still got $1,000 available. All right, now I need to go and let me pay my car payment, my insurance. Boom, there's $1,000, right?
Yep.
Let me pay that off because it would have came out of my bank anyways. Before you know it, you take this little old $1,000 limit credit card and you're running $3, $4, $5,000 a month on it. Now you got some leverage as a consumer. Let me go back
Right.
to this credit card company and light them up. Hey, listen, man, I'm never late.
Yep.
I've never shown an over the limit. I use it like crazy. I've only got $1,000 limit, but I've been running $4 or $5,000 on this. I need a credit
Right.
limit increase. Not
Yep.
only that, I need an increase that's going to be significant to where I can go and make bigger purchases. And
Yep.
I care about my credit because I'm responsible. So I need a credit limit that's going to let me have some room, right?
Yep.
I need to go be able to make the purchases I need to make and understand that I'm still going to have a comfortable, not going to put stress on this account.
Right.
And so now you got some leverage. They might come, well, yeah, you can justify it. You can justify needing a, I mean, if the only thing you're doing is paying off your Netflix and your Hulu and whatever on a credit card every month, don't get me wrong, that's fine. It shows
Yeah.
activity. But if you're spending 60, $80 a month on a credit card, there's no justification for you to come back and ask them for a bigger limit.
Yep.
Right.
Huge. Like, I hope you guys listen to what he just said. Like, again, this comes back to playing the bureaus and using this information for your benefit. If you're looking to, that's a great strategy. I've never heard of that, as far as if you're trying to get your limit higher if you need to for whatever reason. And that utilization part comes in real big here, because as David is talking about, using it, paying it down, using it, paying it off, using it. If you do that and go to the credit limit, go to the creditor, and request that increase, it's actually better for you, because now, assuming you don't go run up, so just say you get that $3,000.
And I'm gonna chime in here real quick.
Okay.
So the game is do the work, go through it, play the game, and then once they give you that big limit, that's when you can Cadillac. I don't need to use it. Right. You entice them. They're like, hey, this guy's going to spend a ton of money on this card. Yeah, let's give it to him. We're going to get some money out there.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll even carry over some. We'll get some interest, but nope. Yeah. Still going to use it the same way. But now I know I've got, a couple cards, 15, 20, 30,000. I got more available credit than I'm making a year. Right. That's when it gets fun. That's when people cater to you. That's when people reach out to you to try to get your money. And the best way that they're going to do that is when you have good credit, they're going to bend over backwards. They're going to give you tons of rewards. They're going to give you 0% introductory interest rates. And they're going to basically pay you to do business with them. That's when credit gets fun. Game changers. Want to be a millionaire or what?
Other people's money. I mean, and listen, everybody is not necessarily going to be, of course, everybody would say they want to be a millionaire. The reality is most people are not willing to do that kind of work. But this is just we're talking to the average people, and I don't consider us average, by the way. Let me back that up. People that are average don't go to $1 million mastermind groups, right? Let's be real here. But for most people, this is stuff that you can just use to better every part of your life when it comes to credit, and specifically. But money management, it's just something that needs to be. We're gonna have to address this on the next show, David, because I know you're doing these. You've been doing some classes with schools over the last couple of months or so. Now we're in the summertime, but we're definitely going to dive into this more on the next show, where we talking about how you're going to the younger generation, because I don't think any of us, I know I wasn't, you probably, we don't get taught this stuff. This is stuff we usually find out the hard way when it comes to credit in a lot of situations. We don't know until it happens.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to address that next time. But go ahead.
Yeah, and to kind of backtrack a little bit, the millionaire mindset thing, right?
Yep.
It's not about making all the money in the world.
Absolutely.
What it's about is eliminating. We've all been there. I mean, there's been times where I was like, oh crap, how am I going to put food on the table?
Yep.
You know what? I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm picking and choosing who to pay. There is no stress that a family feels like money. And it's our job being in this institution to try to spread the word and show people ways that, even if, we had a client that she works at Chick-fil-A, not to say anything about it, but I mean, her income is capped, right? She can only make so much, and she's not making a lot, but her and her husband did the work. They saved the money, and they were able to buy a house. Somebody coming these days, you talk about, you make $32,000 a year, you ain't buying no house. Well, she did.
Yep.
In this market. So it's not necessarily about the dollar amount. It's about what we're doing with it and how we're eliminating that generational curse that a lot of us have dealt with.
Absolutely.
There's ways to make your money work for you.
Yeah, and we've all heard it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
It's what you keep.
I mean, it's true. That's how you hear these these athletes or entertainers that make all this money, and you're like, how in the world did they go broke?
Yeah.
It's easier than probably people think.
Yeah.
And these athletes in particular, you hear these stories all the time about these guys making all this money, and then they retire or get hurt or something, and then they have nothing. So as much as David is, and myself for that matter, we're about you're helping people with their credit, but this really comes, it's more than just the credit. It really is just ultimately it's money, managing money better and managing credit better. I was not taught this stuff. Again, I learned the hard way. And I want to also say this, we're going to end on this, David. You can get the last word in here, but you had mentioned the stress. Um, this is one of those things, and one of the reasons why I love to do this, because when I was in real estate as a full-time real estate agent, 8 years ago, I have never been more stressed in my life. Never been more stressed, because I was not managing things the proper way. And this could be a whole nother show. We're going to do this next time, but I just want to get this because you mentioned the stress, and it is so true. To be stressing about who you're going to pay. Are you kidding me? It is the worst feeling. And there might be people going through this right now. I have been there. I've been there, and it sucks, man. It's draining. You can't think about anything else. You can't sleep. It's miserable. And I'm speaking from experience. So I'm so glad you brought this up. And like I said, we'll get into a little bit more on that and the schools next time. But you got the last word, man. We're just over an hour, so we'll get off of here.
Yeah. Well, man, again, super excited to do these with you.
Yes.
I hope that people get some value out of this.
Absolutely.
We're not here to get your business. We're here to inspire, inform, and if it just so happens you need us, we're obviously here to help.
No problem.
I'm excited for the next one. Let me know
Me too, man.
what I can do, and anybody out there. There is no situation so far that I haven't seen before.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, do the work, guys. David can help you. Obviously, I can help you as well. We're both here. We'll do this. Like we're not. We could be doing anything right now, but we're all here doing this, sharing our expertise, and hopefully that somebody does get value out of this. So I appreciate you guys watching. David, what's the best way for people? Are you social media? Give out your information. I've got your name.
Sure. David Rodriguez, credit expert. You can Google it. I'll probably pop up. Right.
Yep.
Kind of happy about that. Obviously, my phone number right there, my office line, 469-840-4583. David R. at the Phoenix Group. Notice there is no O in Phoenix.
Yes.
PhoenixGroup.com. You can find me on Instagram at TPG Credit Expert. TPG, the Phoenix Group, Credit Expert. However you want. Send me a message.
Got it, guys. There it is. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you've got questions for myself or David, you can reach David. All this information is there. Just go to Facebook, Instagram. He's there. Same for me, James Jay. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as well. We will see you guys soon. David, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you. Reach out to us, guys, if you got questions. We'll see you guys on the next video. Next class. Homebuyer University live. All right, my man.